You got questions? I got answers. Time for a mailbag edition of Seattle Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us as we give you our final thoughts on Seattle's loss to the Minnesota Vikings, where this team goes from here after losing 2 straight. But the silver lining for this Hawks team is they still control their own destiny to the postseason. Got to win these next 2 games. The Bears this week, the Rams the week following. Do you still believe? Do you still believe? As my good friend Blaine says, win, lose, tie. Seahawks till we die. If you still believe. Spam 12 in the comments section. Down but not out. Still got a chance. Spam those 12s if you still believe in the Hawks. And we'll get started with today's show. Let's begin the mailbag with our first question. And the mailbag this week comes from Trell, the photographer. Time to get rid of Geno. So, it was not a great day for Geno Smith on Sunday. He finished up with going 31 of 43, 314 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And I'll say this, I've been of the belief for a long time that Geno is not the long-term solution for this Seahawks team, that he is a stopgap quarterback, but he is the best thing we got right now for the time being. And, for the crowd out there that wants Sam Howell, that's not your solution either, all right? In a perfect world where I'm general manager, here's what I'm doing. Either this draft or next draft. I go find my quarterback of the future. I sit them behind Geno Smith. And when they're ready to take over, then they take the job and go from there. And we've seen the best recipe for success when it comes to developing quarterbacks in the National Football League is to let them sit behind a veteran, learn how the NFL does things, and let them flourish from there. Whether it was Patrick Mahomes behind Alex Smith, whether it was Tom Brady behind Drew Bledsoe, Aaron Rodgers behind Brett Favre, Brock Purdy behind Jimmy G in San Francisco. The list goes on and on. That is a tried and true recipe that has worked time and time again. And so I don't think Geno's going anywhere in the short term. He's, 34 years old? We'll see where things are at. I would be surprised at this point if Geno's not back next year. I understand the frustrations. He's not a franchise quarterback, but they don't have a better option right now. It's just going to have to be what it is. He's got 1 year remaining in his contract. I think there's a chance he gets extended for a year or 2, potentially. Maybe it's like a team option in the second year, but I think that's the circumstance we're dealt with. Whether we like it or not, that's how things are going to be, Trell. DK says, are the Seahawks better than the Rams right now? No, they're not better than the Rams right now. Now, things could change. Got to beat the Bears, obviously, and then you just have to be better than the Rams for one day in what would be potentially an NFC West title game of sorts. So a lot can change. A lot can happen in 2 weeks. But at this point in time, at this very moment, no, they're not better than the LA Rams. But what we saw Sunday is a team that can still hang with the best of the best in the NFC. The Vikings are tied for the best record in the division. In a game where the Hawks did not play well in a lot of different ways, they still had a chance. And so with that said, if Seattle plays, their B game against Chicago, that should be a win. If they play their A game against the Rams, that's a win. So are they better at the moment? No. But a lot can change. And we've seen this season's been a lot of peaks and valleys. Seahawks open up with a 3-game winning streak, and then they go on a 3-game losing streak. It's been a very streaky season. You're on a 2-game losing streak now after winning, 3-4 in a row? Now let's turn the tide back the other direction. Let's get a 2-game winning streak to go to the postseason. Are the Hawks better than the Rams right now? Y for yes, N for no. I mean, in all honesty, the Rams didn't look that great against the Jets. So we'll see. Are they better? Y for yes, N for no. Weigh in the comment section and tell us what you think. Today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Game Time is the place to go for the best seats, the lowest prices guaranteed. Whether you're looking for tickets to sporting events, concerts, theater productions, comedy shows, and more, Game Time's got you covered. Game Time is focused on togetherness this holiday season. That means when you bring people together at live events, the experience is that much better, and it's the perfect gift. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. They have their super deals. If you see a super deal, you don't want to pass up on it. They have their seat views as well. You can get a visual, see what that seat is like. You can customize your spot as well. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Game Time, proud partner of Seattle Seahawks today. Trell writes in, Grubb has to be fired. Why hasn't Mike stepped in and fixed the glaring issues of Grubb's play calling? So, Trell, very good point. But here's what we're looking at, all right? When it comes to Ryan Grubb, what's frustrating for me is at the beginning of the season, when they refused to run the football, things changed. And Ryan Grubb's philosophy, it looked like they had changed, where they started to run the football more and they were making better decisions. And then we fast forward to this week, week 16 in the NFL, and we're talking about the same things we were talking about in week 5 and week 6. There is no reason for Geno to be throwing the football 43 times in a football game. There's simply not. 15 rushing attempts is not a recipe for success. They have to find better balance between the run game and the pass game. And think about this. In that game against the Cardinals, just a couple of weeks ago, all right, when they ran the ball so good with Zach Charbonnet, they had balance. They rushed the ball only 2 more times than they passed it that game. So we've seen it can be done. Why is it not done consistently? Ryan Grubb, I don't think is getting fired, but I do think there needs to be a reality check. You have to do these things differently. This isn't the Pac-12. This isn't Washington. This is the National Football League. You need to run the ball more. McDonald over Carroll writes in, how do you think Geno Smith looked after his injury? I'll say this. I don't think the injury from last week was the issue here. Geno's mistakes and the decisions he made, I don't think it had anything to do with the injury. If you were watching Sunday's game and you did not know about the injury, then you would not have had any idea. It's not why Seattle lost. I don't see that as the issue here. The mistakes Geno made, the struggles he had, didn't have anything to do with the injury. At least I felt anyway. So, I mean, that's somewhat of a positive sort to the next few weeks, that's not going to be something that holds this team back. He looked fine on that front. So we'll see where things go, but I don't see that as a concern. Now, if he re-aggravates it, that's a different story. But it's not why they lost. Great Geno's first game back. A, B, C, D, or F. Threw for over 300, threw 3 touchdowns. We did see some good. We saw plenty of bad, too, and he was under pressure a lot. Got sacked twice, 2 interceptions. I'll go with a D for Geno. I'm going with a D. Give me your grade for Geno for how he performed on Sunday. 2 more questions. Let's go to Toxic writing in. Hashtag Seahawks, what are your playoff odds if we win the next two and the Rams win at least one? Still control your own destiny. Still control your own destiny. You win these next two, you're in. And it doesn't matter what happens with the Rams this next week. So, as bizarre as this year has been, a year that has had its ups, and they felt really good. A year that's had their downs, and it's felt really bad. There's still a chance. So, with that said, we'll see. It's gonna be tough. The Bears game is not a given at all either. One thing I remind the folks out there when it comes to the Bears, I know they are a bad, bad football team. Not dismissing that at all. But think about this, all right? That coaching staff, a lot of them is already, they fired Eberflus. Most of those guys aren't going to be back next year under a new coaching staff. But all those guys are still auditioning for other teams to get jobs. A lot of those players that aren't going to be back next year with the Bears are still trying to prove themselves that they deserve an opportunity to play elsewhere. So even though it seems like a team that would tank, those guys, a lot of them know they're not going to be back next year. What incentive is there for those players, that coaching staff, to tank? I think they're still going to be a tough out, and it's a short week, and you're going on the road too. Last question from Chris. How would you feel about Justin Fields in Seattle? Justin Fields, I'll say this. A lot was made about his time in Chicago, that he had a bad offensive line. The defense was atrocious. The coaching staff was a joke. He was not set up in a situation to succeed. Therefore, he did not succeed. But then he goes to Pittsburgh. In Pittsburgh, we've seen it with their record, what they've done with Russ. That was a pretty good situation. They got some good receivers. They got some good backs, good offensive line. Defense, really solid. T.J. Watt, one of the best defensive players in the league. He's going to be a first-ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, they got some dudes there in Pittsburgh. And Russ took that offense up a whole nother level. And I don't even think Russ is that great at this point in his career, but he was night and day difference to Justin Fields. So with that said, if Justin Fields couldn't succeed in Pittsburgh with the opportunity he was given, it's not going to go well for him in Seattle. Justin Fields is not the solution you're looking for. For continuing Seahawks coverage, subscribe now to Seattle Seahawks Today. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, everybody.